Thank you for coming today. The work that you do with your own students is so important to helping them find a school that helps them find their passions and follow them with that same sense of drive. I want to introduce some of our recruitment staff. If you would please stand as I call your name. Mitch Feiner, our Director of Enrollment. Yay, Mitch. He leads the ground forces for us. Sharon Alcock, our Associate Director. And Melanie Cleveland, Associate Director. And our coordinators, Rochelle Parambo. Thank you. Cliff London, recent New College graduate also. And Jess Zimmerman, another recent New College graduate. Our first speaker is going to be Professor Donal O'Shea. Dr. O'Shea joined New College in July of 2012, came to us from Mount Holyoke College, where he was 14 years their Dean of Faculty and their Vice President for Academic Affairs after chairing their mathematics department and leading sponsored research. He was there from 1980, when I was still a senior in high school. We like loyalty and longevity, if you had not guessed. He earned his undergraduate degree in mathematics from Harvard University and his master's and doctorate from Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. He's a family man. He and his wife, Mary Barker O'Shea, have 4 grown children, as well as storybook attractive grandchildren. I saw them at the inauguration.
That's true.
And well-behaved. He's an accomplished author of a number of books, monographs, and research articles, as well as book translations from Russian and French. He and 2 of his fellow mathematicians won the American Mathematical Society's Leroy P. Steele Award for Exposition for their book, Ideals, Varieties, and Algorithms, a guide that opens up the complex topic of algebraic geometry to undergrads and researchers. And he received the Pinot Prize for his book, The Poincare Conjecture, In Search of the Shape of the Universe, in a review from Amazon.com, from a verified purchaser of the Kindle edition. 5 stars. Really enjoyed this one. Great explanations of tricky concepts. Dr. O'Shea.
So thanks very much. Thanks, Sonia, but thanks all of you very much for being here. We know what happens when you take some time out of work this time of year. You're going to pay for it big time. So, and we know that you know that, but are very grateful that you're here nonetheless. So, as Sonia said, I'm Don O'Shea, and I'm going to tell you, and also Steve Miles, who's our provost here, and I'm going to turn it over to him in a bit. We're going to talk a bit about New College today. And I'm going to start with stuff you all know, but that I tell legislators and parents all the time. So let me kind of begin with that. New College is a liberal arts college, and lots of people know what that means, but lots of other people think they know what that means, and they frequently do not. In fact, most of the time do not. And so what the liberal arts means is it refers to a set of core subjects. There are about 35, 40 of them that are at the center of most undergraduate education and at most of the great universities in this country. And liberal arts started out as 7 subjects in two kind of broad areas. They morphed over those 2,000 years since Greece and Rome into the 35 or 40 we have today. When most people hear liberal arts, they hear liberal sometimes. And so, and then they think Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, or they hear arts and they think, Pablo Picasso, something like that. And often, especially if they're in the legislature, they don't like either. And it actually, the term itself, again, this is what you would know, comes from artes liberales, which were the core disciplines that a citizen needed to know. And that's still the case today. Liberal arts colleges, and New College is a quintessential liberal arts college. They're quite different from one another. Focus, they're very disciplinary. Steve will tell you in a moment about how that plays out. It plays out differently in each type of college, or each type of university, but how that plays out at New College. So on one hand, a student needs a very deep focus and really needs to know something when they get out of here, and they've got to be pretty driven. That's one thing. And on the other hand, they kind of need a breadth of knowledge. And so all of them focus on that. A liberal arts college is, that term together refers to a university that focuses primarily on undergraduates. And that New College does. We have a very tiny graduate program, but our focus really is on undergraduate. And our focus is on those core disciplines in the arts and humanities. That's one field of knowledge. In the social sciences, and that's another. And in the natural sciences and mathematics. The best way, and I keep telling legislators this, we keep telling parents that, to think of a liberal arts college is as the arts and science school that's at the core of all our research ones, our liberal arts colleges, of course, but without the kind of graduate programs or the large ones that are all over there. We're really undergraduate focused. There's not too many in the nation. There are about 270 liberal arts colleges. There are about the same number of Research One universities. In Florida, there are very few liberal arts colleges. There's only two, really. One is New College, one is Eckerd. There's a lot of schools there are a number that started as liberal arts colleges and now look a little more like regional comprehensives. Rollins would be a really good example. But it has a very strong, or Stetson, they also have a very strong arts and science core. In the state university system, since there's only two in Florida, we are definitely the only one in the state university system. We're public. If you look at public liberal arts colleges, there are only about 80 or 90 of those. We're ranked either fourth or fifth, this year fifth in the nation among the national public liberal arts colleges. The only schools that are consistently in front of us, well, the only schools in front of us at all are the military academies. So the West Point, U.S. Military Academy at West Point, Annapolis, which is the Naval Academy, and the Air Force Academy. And this year, there was one in, darn, I'm blanking on the name, and it's not deliberate, it's unconscious, but it's right near, it's in Virginia, a Virginia Military Institute. Yeah, that shouldn't be ahead of us. the other ones, but they're again liberal arts colleges. They focus primarily on undergraduates. They're in core disciplines. Some liberal arts colleges have engineering, some do not. Most have sciences. And so out there in the world, the liberal arts comes across as, well, they don't do science. Well, actually, a huge chunk of the nation's scientists come out of liberal arts colleges. And Katie Wallstrom, Professor Katie Wallstrom will tell you, New College is the strongest undergraduate science school in Florida and one of the strongest in the nation. In just kind of a large percent of our graduates, a large percent of our students are interested in the sciences. I think it's about 37%. If you look at the number that go on to do Ph.Ds., we're third in the nation. The only schools that are above us on that are Caltech. Then there's Harvey Mudd. Then there's New College. Then there's New College. 23%, sorry, of our graduates ultimately go on to get Ph.Ds. in the sciences or engineering. And then we're followed by MIT, and then Reed and Swarthmore. It's an incredible number. Even though we're tiny, we produce an incredible number of Florida's scientists, basically, which is surprising, and it's by far the strongest school for science there. It's also really strong in the arts. That's partly a gift of location, partly a gift of we have a phenomenal arts faculty, Steve and humanities faculty. People will tell you about that as well. We assume that most of our students will go to graduate school. In fact, 90% of them coming in say they want to go to graduate school. 80% are, after they graduate, go to graduate school. Within about 5 years of graduation, some work for a while, some go back, but they all, as they come in, want to go. And we encourage that. Their education doesn't end here. I think I'm going to stop there, turn it over to Steve. I want you to keep in mind, though, that that importance and about disciplinary. New College is unusual in that a student can chart his or her own course, but it's quite rigorous. At the same time, that's in tension with the freedom we give students. There are a number of other schools that do that well. We do it extremely well. It's not a school for everybody, but for a student that likes it here, it's enormous. As I say, the state has recognized this. The university system has, at the last time when we were talking about our graduation rate, by the way, is the third highest in the state university system. Our four-year graduation rate is 57%. We would like it to be a lot higher. The schools that we compete with, like not just the military academies, but Amherst or Williams or schools like that, their four-year graduation rate is much closer to 90%. And so we were asking the state, we said we would like to not just focus on student affairs, not just focus, on academic affairs, but we'd like to build in a lot more opportunity for students outside the classroom. Students are very good about organizing their own activities outside the classroom, but we wanted to add there. And they said, well, what else could you use? And we said, well, we really like to grow, and that would really help a lot. So they voted unanimously. Now, unfortunately, the legislatures got to agree to allow us to increase our size from a little over 800 to 1,200. And that would be, we wouldn't add disciplines, but we would add more depth in everything. We're working on that. We're very hopeful that that will come to fruition over the next few years. But it would really help with retention.